Hey, I'm Todd. Thanks for choosing to watch my video, and if you would subscribe it, like it, all that stuff, that'd be great. Otherwise, enjoy the video, and I hope it gives you the information you need and is helpful to you. Take care. 2007 Ford Edge SEL all-wheel drive, rear brakes. So we got these 19mm lug nuts. We'll take them off. All bolts and nuts would be left to loosen, right to tighten. So you want to jack the vehicle up. There's a nice pinch weld along here for jacking. You get your jack and jack it up. Use safety stands, protect yourself so you break them loose. A turn or two on the ground, then jack the vehicle up, and we'll get the tire off. Next, basic selection of tools: 3/8 ratchet, screwdriver for compressing the calipers if I can, using impact air tools for removing parts, sockets, and probably a torque wrench or two for tightening things up. Good selection of basic tools is pretty important. Makes the job much easier than fighting with just wrenches. Alright, so we got the tire off, so we got our brake rotor, caliper bracket, mounting bracket, caliper. 2 bolts hold the caliper on, 2 bolts hold the mount on. And there's an outer pad and an inner pad. We'll try and get a screwdriver in here and collapse the piston. Slides are free and the caliper piston slides and moves back, then we know where you have a good caliper and we can just continue on. If something's not moving, you may consider replacing the caliper. And we'll talk about the master cylinder. You want to make sure the master cylinder isn't too full when you're collapsing the pistons, and don't want brake fluid spilling out. And yes, you can open up, this is the bleeder screw to let air out of the system for different situations. If you're replacing a caliper, you need to bleed it to get all the air out. Probably a 10mm screw. You could also loosen that a turn, and then collapse piston, fluid will come out of here. While you're compressing, close it back up so you don't let any air get sucked in. So we can check our slides. Everything, look at that, looking good. So we can continue on, do that for both sides, and you're good to go, and you won't be surprised without, when you're putting it back together, you can know in the first probably 5 minutes you can continue with your brake pad and rotor replacement. So zing these 2 bolts off, and then we're going to set this off to the side, and then we'll zing off the 2 bolts for the caliper mount. I do not have my tripod with me to hold the camera, so next time you see this is going to be off, and this will be off. But just a matter of left to loosen, right to tighten for the bolts. Not too much to it. And a 14mm wrench here because of this bracket is in the way from using any air tools or ratchet. So easy peasy. We'll need to collapse that a little bit more. I did not show you, but we'll use a C-clamp or a large channel locks to collapse that, or you can buy special tools for collapsing pistons and calipers. Inner pad, outer pad, and again again because of clearance, we'll probably just go ahead and use a wrench on the back bolts. Basically, I believe, slide out of here. Or once you can go that way too, probably. These are just friction fit pieces, they just get it, push in there and push out. You can clean these up or replace them if you get pads. Some pad boxes, if you buy a better brand, will come with these to replace. Otherwise, cleaning them up, just a clean rag, wipe them down. I think they're almost like stainless steel, so they'll clean up pretty good usually. Otherwise, just replace them with new ones. Slide right out, slide the new ones in. The brake rotor should basically slide off. You're going to find emergency brake shoes in the back, so they could be a little tight. Boom, there they are. Look to be in good shape. Little baby drum on the inside. I like to call these droters because they have a drum and a rotor. Droter. That is removing your front brake. That is removing your rear brake pads and rotor. We'll give this a little cleanup, and then we'll start putting stuff back together. New rotor just slides on real nice. Took this old rubber plug out of the old droter, and we're just gonna probably push it into this new one somehow. With a little effort, we'll work it around with the screwdriver in two hands. Alright, so we do have a little lubricant we will put on the slides. They have some lubricant on them, but we'll do a little better. Just put a little bit more on there. Give it a good little spin in there. And the same with this one. Just gonna spin them as I put them in. The grease all around. There we are. Got my two new shiny pieces in there, you see. And we'll take this over here, and we will just we'll just put that on there and mount it up with our bolts. I'll probably give you the torque specs at the end. Alright, so we have our new pads. Did put a little bit of lubricant on the ends where they touch on here. So we can probably just slide them into place. Like that, and then we can drop the caliper down. I'm going to get my large channel locks and just compress that a little bit more to finish it off. You can sometimes collapse it all the way with your screwdriver, as I showed you. I do often tell people to put your old brake pad in here and collapse on it, but I'm pretty close, so I feel pretty good about just doing this. Nice and easy, which I believe for the most part they should be. Shouldn't take a lot of effort to collapse the piston. If you have to fight it really, really hard, you may consider new calipers. So let's collapse and we can slide this on now. Bring it on over. Ooh. You want to get these straight. It's got two edges on it. Just like that. We'll tighten those up and then we'll head to the master cylinder, give you some torque specs. Sorry about the focus there. Alright, 66 foot-pounds for the bracket bolt, 19 foot-pounds for the 14 millimeter bolts here. caliper bolts. 100 foot-pounds here for the lug nuts. Tighten them in a crisscross pattern, star pattern. Tighten them up as much as you can while it's off the ground probably, and then drop it down and torque them down. Then we'll go to the master cylinder and talk about that a little bit and the fluid. Alright, here's the master cylinder tucked back here. Got 3 or 4 brake fluid from a sealed container, it says. Alright. Some maximum and minimum line on there you can see, so you want to just make sure it's, well, I can see the maximum. Not sure where the minimum is. It's probably down pretty low. It's got quite a long neck there. And I think actually we're right there after collapsing the pistons, which if you never add fluid would be the way it would work. Your fluid would go down when the pistons go out, and you push it pistons back in, and the fluid goes back up to where it's supposed to be. So pretty darn close. But you do want to use a clean rag or a turkey baster or something. Make sure fluid doesn't overflow. It can do paint damage. So if you want to try to avoid that, that would be good. So add or subtract fluid as needed there. Pump the brakes a few times to set the brake pads in place and the pistons, and you have a good brake pedal. And double check your fluid here. And then top off or take out as needed, as we just talked about. Just kind of turns on and off. 3 little notches. That is replacing your brake pads on your Ford Edge. I'm sure other makes and models. If the rear brakes look like in the video, I'm sure it's going to work for you. Best of luck to you.